Question number 7, Honourable Maryan Street.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for the Environment and asks, how does the Minister intend to maintain independence of environmental reporting in her recently announced changes to that process?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Mr Speaker, firstly, to clear up misconceptions, there is no process to change, as there has never to date been any legislative requirement for State of the Environment reporting. So we're introducing for the first time legislatively mandated environmental reporting to be produced with a government statistician to provide assurance that it is independent. Their role is outlined in the Statistics Act, and they have the legal responsibility for oversight of the methods and timing of the publication of statistics. This process is used in other countries for their environmental reporting and works very well here for the production and release of the economic development indicators. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment will also provide an important role in assuring the quality of the reporting by providing independent commentary on any aspect of the framework. She will have a legislated mandate to provide analysis of the environmental data and reports, identification of trends, and a discussion of implications and responses.
Supplementary.
Honourable Maryan Street. Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. Who will decide what is to be measured for reporting purposes and how such things will be measured in this new reporting regime, and how will independence be maintained by those bodies, notwithstanding the comments just made about the statistician who will process information rather than gather it or measure things?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Speaker, let me assure the member that the intention is that the framework, what it will cover, the domains that must be reported and the indicators that must be reported on will be set out either in the primary legislation or the regulations made under it. Other than those primary or tertiary legislation, there will be no ability for ministers to intervene within it. The work of completing the framework beyond those legislative bases will be developed and controlled by a project board made up of a working party from the Secretary for the Environment and the Government Statistician. They will have joint responsibility for the design of the framework within the bounds of the legislative framework passed, the measurement, the collection of data, the compilation of the reports and the final production and sign-off of them. There will be a clear delineation between the role of the Executive and the role of the Secretary for the Environment and the Government Statistician, ensuring its independence for the first time.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Maryan Street.
To the Minister, when did National's policy on independent environmental reporting change from Nick Smith's cast-iron commitment to 5-yearly reporting in 2011 to the Minister's recent statement?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Amy Adams.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can certainly acknowledge the fact that I have taken a paper to Cabinet seeking to change from 5-yearly reporting to 3-yearly reporting, and I would thought that most members would welcome that change. It has always been our view that the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment has a role to play in environmental reporting, and we believe the framework that we have developed allows her the most scope to ensure that she can comment without restriction, without legislative fetter, on any aspect that she considers necessary. And in that respect, I certainly noticed the comment of one commentator who noted that having the PCE compile the reports completely would be impractical and expensive. And it's one of the few times I find myself in agreement with the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Maryan Street.
Supplementary to the Minister. Given the repeated references to the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment in her preceding answers, is she concerned by the statement of that independent Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment that the government's change of policy on environmental reporting was, quote, a bit of a surprise, unquote, because she had been preparing for the job for years and, quote, it's been in party policy in 2 elections and I'd always been expecting it, unquote?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm also very mindful of the comments that the Parliamentary Commissioner has made, a Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment has made on a number of occasions around whether her office would be the appropriate place to carry out the work, both in 2010 and as recently as her recent speech to the EDS conference, where she talked about the fact that even with extra resources, preparing such a report could incur an opportunity cost. There could potentially be less ability to undertake the investigations and provide the advice that is the fundamental work of the PCE. So, Mr Speaker, I do believe that we have reached the right balance between the appropriate roles, and I find it somewhat sanctimonious of the Labour Party to be criticising the independence of this reporting, given that they are the only government to ever have interfered with the production of an environment report.
That's right. Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, the Honourable Trevor.
Pursuant to the answer to the second supplementary question, did she inform her Cabinet colleagues of David Salisbury's intention to provide consulting services to the oil and gas sector before her colleagues approved her offer of his appointment to the Environmental Protection Authority?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Well, Mr Speaker, all conflicts of interest are very carefully discussed and disclosed, and that would have been the process in that instance.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a 29th of May email from the Ministry for the Environment to the Honourable Amy Adams' office indicating that Salisbury intended consulting with the oil and gas sector and that this is a conflict.
Order. Leave is sought to table that particular email. Is there any objection? There is none.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister, why did she not note in her 10th of June Cabinet paper that David Salisbury intended providing consulting services to the oil and gas sector while serving on the...
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, we're dealing with question 7, supplementaries. It's about environmental reporting and the independence thereof. Both the previous supplementary question and the question the member is starting, because I've got something on a completely different topic about the Environmental Protection Authority.
I appreciate the point the member's making, but in a subsequent supplementary question, which was quite an order, Honourable Maryan Street asked, when did the change of policy occur? Was it, and the answer was that it was when it went through a cabinet process. So I think there was a clear connection then, and the question remained. Supplementary question.
Can I start that one again?
Supplementary question.
Why did she not note?
Order. The member will cease yelling out at the Speaker that ruling was ridiculous. The Honourable Trevor Mallard can now start his supplementary question for the third time.
Why did she not note in her 10th of June Cabinet paper that David Salisbury intended to provide consulting services to the oil and gas sector while serving on the EPA, and does she believe her paper enabled her Cabinet colleagues to, quote, make collective decisions based on sound information, end quote, as required by section 536 of the Cabinet Manual?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm afraid I'd have to check the veracity of those quotes that the member's referring to. Given the scope of the primary question, I didn't come to the House prepared to answer detailed questions about a Cabinet paper relating to appointments to the EPA and responding to a question on environmental reporting, which is quite a different matter.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table an extract from the Minister's 10th of June 2013 Cabinet paper, where in the possible conflicts of interest section for David Salisbury, she states, none identified.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table the letter from the Minister to David Salisbury released to me by her and described by the Minister as in the 17th of June 2013 email, EPA appointments, draft appointment letters and Gazette notice where she appoints Salisbury to the EPA effective immediately.
Leave is sought to table that particular letter. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a fourth document. It's an extract from the Honourable Amy Adams' 10th of June Cabinet paper where she advises her Cabinet colleagues that, quote, I can confirm that appropriate inquiries concerning conflicts of interest have been carried out.
There's enough information here for the House to decide. Leave a sought to table a further extract from that Cabinet paper. Is there any objection? There appears to be none. It can be tabled.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Did she write to David Salisbury on or shortly after the 17th of June 2013, appointing him to the EPA effective immediately, asking him to complete a disclosure of interest form, saying that this should be completed before you attend the EPA and any conflicts discussed at the meeting? And if so, why did she state in the 10th of June Cabinet paper regarding that appointment, I can confirm appropriate inquiries concerning conflicts of interest...
Order. Point of order, Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, how can that possibly be a valid supplementary question to question number 7? Now, I note your comment that my colleague, the Minister for the Environment, did make reference to Cabinet. But to take it from the point that somehow in reference to Cabinet, you can then ask any supplementary question on any element of a Minister's role, I don't think is reasonable. And if the member wants to pursue this line of very specific questioning, he should set down a formal oral question.
No, I don't need any assistance. While I appreciate the point the Honourable Minister's making, the question is in order. I've already ruled that. So for the Minister to question that, he's questioning a ruling I've given. It's now quite within the rights of the Minister, when she answers the question, to simply say, I don't have that detailed information. That's quite a satisfactory answer. I agree that the detail now being required would be difficult for a Minister to have in light of the original primary question, but I don't rule the question out of order.
So I hadn't quite finished. Shall I start again, Mr Speaker?
I think there's little choice but to do that. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, did she write to David Salisbury on or shortly after the 17th of June 2013, appointing him to the EPA, quote, effective immediately, end quote, asking him to complete a disclosure of interest form and that this should, quote, be completed before you attend your next meeting of the EPA and any conflict should be discussed at that meeting, end quote? And if so, why did she state in her 10th of June Cabinet paper regarding the EPA appointments and reappointments, quote, I can confirm that appropriate inquiries concerning conflicts of interest have been carried out in accordance with the State Service Commission guidelines to identify any conflict of interest?
Honourable Amy Adams.
Mr Speaker, well, I'd have to check the specifics of what the member is quoting from, but what I can tell the member is that it is quite appropriate that there would be a multi-stage process to identification of conflicts of interest. They are certainly worked through the early stage of appointments, and after people are appointed, there is still an ongoing obligation on them, as there are on ministers, to identify and continually update their conflict of interest status. So it is entirely appropriate that both situations would have occurred, an investigation during the appointment process and then an ongoing statement of the continuing obligations of anyone appointed.
Question number 8, David Bennett.
My question is to the Minister of Revenue. What benefits will New Zealanders see from Inland Revenue's business transformation